Okay, I am thrilled to have you along to have a look at a presentation that I put together for the e-commerce revolution in Manningham, the Manningham City Council back in October of 2017, and that event was really just to explain Amazon in just the basic terms, really, but also a bit of background about how big it is, and the audience was primarily made up of quite a lot of product brands and retailers. So let's dive straight in. This is my perspective and my experience selling on Amazon. I'm going to try and include as much practical information as I possibly can. So the first thing really is just how big is it? And the answer is, as you probably would have guessed, it's pretty enormous. So back in 2012, Amazon was it was a $61 billion business, and today it turns over around about $138 billion. And I think it's even more this year. I think they're looking at around about $176 to $180 billion in turnover. So around about $350 million a day in revenue. It's pretty nuts. So the other thing that's happening too is that a lot of Amazon customers, or a lot of people in the world now, are actually conducting their product searches, and they're moving away from Google, and they're actually searching more and more on Amazon for products. I think it's now at around about 55% of all product searches actually start on Amazon. Certainly in the United States, there are lots of Amazon Prime members, and I'm going to talk a bit about Prime membership a little bit later in this presentation. But overall, they've got around about 310 active customer, accounts, 310 million, I should say. The interesting part for you and I is that there are around about 2 million third-party marketplace sellers. So, it is a marketplace, and pretty much anybody can sell on the marketplace as long as you follow all the rules, or unless you perhaps come from Iran or, North Korea. It also has a huge geographic footprint now too, and is expanding all the time, obviously, with it coming to Australia. So we've got the United States and Germany and the UK. Note that Germany is actually the second biggest marketplace behind the United States. And then I think it's like the United Kingdom, and then maybe Japan, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely disrupting what's going on in retail, and we'll talk a bit more about that as well. So just in this slide that I pulled offline, I found it online, and I thought I'd share it with you, is that, well, a lot of the big box sort of on-the-ground retailers, back in 2006 were doing pretty well. A lot of their market caps have completely collapsed, and really the only one that's sort of keeping its head almost above water is Walmart, but they haven't really grown at all in terms of their market value since 2006, whereas obviously Amazon has just gone completely the other way, and it's cutting the lunch of a lot of the big box retailers in the US. In fact, it's got to the point now where its market capitalization combined is, it's actually larger than all the rest of those guys that you saw, all those stores and brands that you saw before put together, as of December the 30th of last year. So, it's probably even bigger now. And this is just quickly showing you a graph of the decline of department store sales by the billions. So way back in 2006, there was they were all sharing around about $252 billion worth of sales, and today they're only enjoying around about $143 billion in sales per year. And it's not just the traditional retail that's being crushed. So Amazon's also now dominating. It's 53% of every single purchase that happens online on any e-commerce web store in the United States. Amazon is getting 53% of it, or those sales. So it's killing everything. And it does look like a really big business. I mean, it's got 341,000 employees, which seems like a lot. Except when you compare it to, for example, someone like Walmart, who have around about 2.2 million employees with over 11,500 stores to manage. Their overheads are huge, and with Amazon, it's just a few hundred fulfillment centers. The way that they've structured themselves. So, and Walmart pretty much sells the same stuff as Amazon. And then it's interesting just to perhaps compare that closer to home. So we've kind of got, someone like Woolworths with around about 175,000 employees, so around about half of what Amazon has. But its market cap is actually only around about 34 billion, I think, and it's probably turning over around about close to $58 billion a year in revenue for Woolworths, and I'm not sure what Coles is. But it doesn't always go great for Amazon. So this is just a quick graph showing Amazon's market share in China. And like many other, retailers or startups or whoever you are trying to get into China, it can be really difficult. And I think they're perhaps a bit late to the party in China, so they don't always get it their own way. So as I mentioned before, it's actually now a half of all product searches begin on Amazon, and there are around about 380 million products on Amazon, with thousands and thousands more being added every day. So the range is huge. The great thing about Amazon customers is that they don't go to Amazon to search to find out how to change a light bulb. Like, they're not there to find out how to do something. They're absolutely there. Their intent is to buy stuff. They certainly, and the other thing to mention, of course, is that they already have their credit cards on file. And Amazon's number one priority is to look after their customers. So even if you're a third-party marketplace seller, those customers that buy your products, they are not your customers, and they're not easy to even get access to. So let's quickly talk about one of the huge growth engines of Amazon, and that's been its Prime program, which was rolled out in around about 2006, I believe. And at the time, a lot of analysts were sort of saying that Jeff Bezos was nuts to trying to do this, but it's actually been the thing that's completely transformed Amazon's business, that and FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon, which I'll also talk about shortly. And look, the biggest benefit to Amazon customers is that they pay about $100 a year, depending on where they live in the world, and they typically end up with, if they order more than $35 worth of stuff in their basket, then it's free 2-day shipping. But Amazon Prime's actually extended out to, there's sort of a lot of free video content you're seeing here in Australia. They're pushing the Grand Tour pretty hard, the ex-Top Gear guys. And then there's music and TV and Audible and Now and games and storage, photo storage, all that sort of stuff. And so there's actually worldwide around about 100 million Prime members paying around about $100 US per year. So let's look at the Prime customers themselves, and when we compare it to, say, the Walmart's customers, the average household income for a Walmart customer is around about $56,000, whereas for Amazon Prime customers, they have a much higher disposable income or household income than just about everybody else. So the demographics that Amazon is attracting into the Prime program is pretty formidable. And then if we break it down again and we look at the income sort of household breakdown, so of the households that earn between $21,000 and $41,000 a year in the United States, Amazon has about 52% of them as Prime members. They're actually forking out $100 a year to become Prime members, and then so on and so forth, right up to the highest level, I guess, that this particular company is tracked, which is $110,000 plus per year per household. And so Amazon is actually in 82% of all of those households in the US, which is remarkable, and the growth is just continuing to grow, as you can see from 2013, for example. It was around about 30% or just over, and now they're at 82, and they're just an incredible growth. The other thing too, of course, is that America has around about 11 million millionaires. So just by extension, you could argue that Amazon has 82% of those millionaires as members, as Prime members and Amazon customers. So not everybody that shops on Amazon is looking for a bargain. The other thing too is, why do customers buy from Amazon? It's because they trust Amazon, and Amazon consistently comes in just behind Apple as America's sort of top 3 trusted brands. So which is just remarkable for an e-commerce retailer, because in e-commerce a lot of things can go wrong, but Amazon customers love and trust Amazon. So let's actually talk about how Amazon works. There's a bit of confusion about this. So in theory, there is only one product and one Amazon listing, and that's in theory. It doesn't always work, but that's the nirvana that Amazon's trying to create. So, and what happens is that you have multiple sellers that compete on the single listing. So let's have a look at, say, eBay, for example. And let's say that you were doing a search for a Logitech HD Pro webcam C920. And this is a search that I did on eBay. I'm not sure if it's America or Australia. But anyway, the point is that you've got lots of, you're scrolling down, seeing exactly the same product. And really the only difference is the price, right? So you just sort of pick from one of those and decide which one you're going to buy from. Whereas on Amazon, that is the product. There is only, when you do a search up the top here, you can see Logitech C920. There is only one product for that product page for that product. You can see here there's more buying options, and there's 160 used and new offers. And I'm going to dive into that in a minute. Obviously, you've got the reviews. You've got a little snippet that's pulled off the product page. But the reason for that is because Amazon then gets to present, even if you're looking for a specific product, it can kind of show, well, actually, there's a C922, which is an even better, it's sort of an upgraded version, and there's a privacy cover and that sort of thing. So they actually get a lot more variety in their search results than, say, eBay. So let's have a look at the actual product page for this Logitech C920. So yes, we've got our reviews. We have our variations or add-ons and things like that. These are your bullet points which describe the product. Up the top here, obviously, is the title of the product. You can have up to 7 images down here, and in fact, you can add a couple more, which I don't show here. You can also see who's actually selling it to you. So we've got Amazon.com is the vendor. That's Amazon's actually selling it to you. Here is the all-important buy box, which I'll talk about in a minute about how to win this. So when this product page is loading up, basically what's happening is that Amazon is looking at all the other sellers on Amazon that offer this product, and it's trying to find the best offer, and it's looking at 3 things. So it's looking at the price. So is the price a good price for the customer? Is it competitive? It's also looking at the seller metrics. So how have other buyers experienced, what have other buyers' experiences been with your business? And when you sell on Amazon, people can rate not only your products, but also your performance as a seller. So there's kind of 2 different review systems that live on Amazon. And you want to keep your seller metrics as high as possible so that there's a high level of customer satisfaction when people buy your products from your share of Amazon's marketplace. The other thing it's looking at too is how fast can you ship the product to the customer. And if you are using Amazon's FBA network or fulfillment by Amazon, in other words, you're sending your products in for Amazon to fulfill your orders, you'll typically have more chance of winning the buy box. So if you've got a competitive price, you're using FBA, and you have excellent seller metrics, then you're quite likely to win the buy box and win this add to cart button. Most customers, when they see the add to cart, they just click it. They do not go in and have a look and see if they can maybe get it a bit cheaper, even if it takes a bit longer for someone else to ship, for another seller to ship it to them, for example. So I mentioned just now we've got the 3 metrics that's there in a recap. So who's got the lowest price, who can deliver the fastest, and who's got the best seller metrics. So if everybody's got the same metrics, in other words, they're using FBA and they've got 100% customer feedback metrics or seller feedback scores, and they've got the same price, and Amazon will rotate the buy box share evenly between the 3 sellers. In other words, you'll get a share of the buy box of the add to cart button a third of the time compared to, say, 2 other sellers with competing products. The trick, well, they're not even the trick, it's just like a warning, is do not compete with Amazon for the buy box. In other words, if Amazon is a vendor of a product and you want to do wholesale, if Amazon is buying that product from a manufacturer and they're selling it, it's very hard to beat Amazon. They'll continue to drop the price, and their seller metrics are obviously exceptional, and they're using the FBA system themselves. So it's almost impossible to beat Amazon for the buy box. Don't mess with Amazon when it comes to trying to capture a share of the buy box. So let's have a look at who's actually selling on Amazon. So clearly Amazon is selling itself, and that's kind of how they started. And then you've got established brands like, we just saw Logitech and stuff like that. And then you've got wholesalers and retailers, and kind of just touched on those. And then you've got private labelers. And one of the reasons why private labelers in particular really love Amazon is because they don't have to fight for the buy box, because they're the only person or entity that offers that particular version of the product. So let's dive into those. So Amazon has around about 20 private label brands, from everything to do with, furniture and frozen food and tech accessories and all that sort of stuff. So they are like Aldi, like, Home Brand at Coles or Woolies, can't remember which, Black and White, Black and Gold, yeah. They've got their own private label brands as well, and they've got a lot of data. So when they can see what is a really sort of popular category, and they can quickly create a brand in that category and start sourcing and selling products. And sometimes it's pretty hard to know if you're even up against Amazon. But with private label brands that Amazon creates, it's actually not too hard to beat them a lot of the time. Don't be too worried about that. Amazon Basics is probably the most famous, so that's where this is at product level. They just do very, very cheap USB cables and charge ports and all that sort of stuff. So But again, you can still, you are a chance to beat Amazon Basics, but it's their biggest private label brand. It's how they started. So the other thing that we can look at is so this is sort of Amazon when they buy products from a manufacturer. So this is when it ships and sold by Amazon. It means that Logitech as a brand is a vendor to Amazon, and Logitech is just selling their products to Amazon, and Amazon's buying those products on typically net 30, 60, 90-day terms, and then selling the products on the platform. And this is where Amazon competes with everybody else, like everybody else does. Then you've kind of got wholesalers and retailers. So in this instance here, Amazon is not offering the Hero 5 Black, whatever this product's called. This is actually being sold by Easy Electronics, and it's being fulfilled by Amazon. There are a few offers here. In this instance, there are up to 8 offers. And again, if we had enough screen area, I'd be able to show you those. But in this instance here, this is just a pretty savvy operator who's got a good price. They're using FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, and they've probably got pretty good seller metrics, and they've beat out the other 8 offers to win the add to cart or the buy box. The private labelers love this stuff because this is a classic kind of Alibaba to Amazon play. So you can see it's almost identical, the listings that you see on Alibaba, for example, where someone has created a store on Amazon as a third-party seller, and then they just go to Alibaba and they talk to one of these guys, one of these vendors here, and they say, I want to order 1,000 pieces and I need you to put my brand's label on the box. So if we look at Amazon, for example, you'll see they're all pretty much the same. It's really just a private label thing, and you'll see here that there are no competing offers. So if you can rank your products on Amazon for a search term like garlic press, because that's how people search on Amazon. They don't sort of go down through the categories going, right, well, I need to buy a garlic press, so I'm going to go into the kitchen and dining category, and then I'm going to go into kitchen utensils, and then I'm going to, sort of try and filter it down that way. They just type in keywords into Amazon's search engine. So private labeling is very attractive. And then you've got brands, and this is my brand, one of my brands. And so this is where, I actually sell on Amazon's platform directly to customers, to Amazon's customers. So you can see here it's sold by Hibernate and it's fulfilled by Amazon. And there are no other competing offers for that product because it's my brand and they're my products, and I don't sell them to anybody else. You've got to be very careful when you first set up on Amazon. If you don't have access, there are certain categories which are restricted, and Amazon sets this up to protect its customers. So, for example, it doesn't want Joe Blow, dude out there to be creating like chutney in their kitchen and then putting it in a bottle, and there's no regulation around it, and then shipping it in and selling, grocery under the grocery and gourmet foods category where that chutney would live. So you need to follow their requirements, or certainly understand the requirements before you start sort of shipping products halfway around the world, thinking that you're going to get into an Amazon warehouse and then it's just sort of turned away because you don't have approval to sell in categories. So it's a good idea before you even start thinking about selling on Amazon to actually make sure that the products that you offer is part of your brand. Areas to watch out for obviously is grocery and gourmet foods. The other big one that can really trip people up is in beauty, so skincare products, hair care products, that sort of thing. And there's also quite stringent restrictions around health and personal care, and that sort of crosses into beauty a little bit, but there's also stuff around like supplements, that sort of thing. You be really careful. And topicals, ointments are really difficult too. So let's talk about Amazon fulfillment by Amazon, which is the other huge driver aside from Prime. And these warehouses are enormous, and I'm just going to quickly scroll through what you probably already know. At the moment, Amazon has more than about 70 fulfillment centers in the US, employing about 90,000 people. And there's a lot more as well over in Europe, and all the marketplaces effectively where Amazon operates has these fulfillment centers. Just in, say, for example, in Kentucky alone, they've got over 20 fulfillment centers. So they build them as close as they can to where a lot of their Amazon customers, where their customers actually live, to create that speed of shipping. So you've got a couple of options when you're selling on Amazon as a third-party seller. So you can ship the products that you sell on Amazon yourself. So let's say, for example, that you're, you can set up on Amazon in the United States from Australia, and you can be shipping your products from Australia to Amazon customers if you like. But what it means is that your products won't have the Prime badge in the search results. And that's pretty attractive to most of Amazon's customers who are looking for free shipping on their orders. And if you don't offer Prime, it's usually not that great. And we also talked about the buy box before. If you've got products that you're listing on Amazon and you're the same as everybody else, but you don't offer fulfillment by Amazon services, then you're probably not going to win the buy box. The other option, of course, is to use Amazon's FBA services, and they pretty much do all the work. It's very unusual, for example, for me to get a customer email. It does happen, but they're few and far between. Most of the time, Amazon's actually handling all of your customer service. They handle all of your returns, and you can decide too when customers do return, and there's a high propensity for Amazon customers to return products. Any product that has a return rate that is less than 5% is doing a really good job. Let's look at some of the other options as to why Amazon FBA is a good option for you as a third-party seller, because we talked about it earlier. We've got the buy box pretty much guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, but more chance of winning it. And the bit that I've really enjoyed with my business is that for the first time ever, I've been able to completely decentralize or decouple where I live from my business. So I actually have products manufactured in China that just go straight to Amazon warehouses in the United States. They're all prepared by the Chinese manufacturers as to what I need done, but they are received in, and Amazon houses all my inventory, and it's reasonably inexpensive. So obviously you don't need to have your own warehouse. The customer service I talked about earlier is not nowhere near as onerous. Where's my parcel stuff? And then the other, of course, you can fulfill orders from other channels. So in fact, you might be selling eBay as well, or any other channel almost, and you can just manually create a fulfillment order for the inventory that you hold in an Amazon warehouse and ship customers, say eBay customers, products directly from your Amazon inventory. If you're using FBA, then your products are more likely to rank higher in the search results, which is also key to to sales. And your product's conversion rates will be a lot higher, and that's important because that's actually part of Amazon's algorithm as well. When it's deciding where to rank products, when customers do a search, you want to rank as high as you can. And if your conversion rate is nice and high, that means that you've got more chance of ranking your products highly. Whoops, I've skipped ahead. So what kind of volume is occurring in terms of sales? And it's pretty amazing. I'm constantly astounded by the sort of, the amount of money that Amazon customers spend. Just this random search I did for coat hangers, and I use a tool called Jungle Scout to try and understand what's happening. And what Jungle Scout is a Chrome extension, and enables me to quickly look at the top sort of 16 to 17, sometimes up to 20 products on page 1. And I can also have a look at what's on page 2 and 3 and 4. And the top selling coat hangers in this instance, is around about $24.95. I won't talk about the bestseller rank here, but I will talk about every single product in a category is ranked by its how well it's selling, so compared to all the other products in the category. So in home and kitchen, for example, these coat hangers from Zoba have a rank of 65, which is amazing. It means that they're getting around about 8,253 sales a month. So you can see the revenue here on the top selling product on Amazon is around about 205,000, 206,000. You can also, Jungle Scout also helps you sort of understand what you're up against if you wanted to rank your coat hangers in here. You can have a look at market depth. It's 895 reviews in total, and the average review is around about 5 stars. So that's pretty good. And you can also see, what are they doing? They're using FBA as a way of fulfilling their products. In this instance here, Amazon is the actual merchant, so they're actually buying from Mainstay, the brand, and selling it on the platform. So you can see that Amazon, you can actually beat Amazon in the search results and rank your products much higher than Amazon's. They don't tend to give that much preference in the search results. Not any FBM sellers here, but if anybody here was selling, fulfilling themselves, then, you would see an FBM here as well. This is just a quick little snapshot of my little world. I own a tiny little slice of the Amazon world, around about $15,000 to $20,000 a month on Amazon.com. And I also sell using Amazon in the United Kingdom as well, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. So it just gives you a sense of, just what's possible. And you can pretty much add an extra, just by going into Europe, you can add some pretty good revenues into your world. So Amazon Australia, so this is actually slightly out of date, but we do now know that there is a warehouse in Dandenong. I've actually went down there to buy it, to visit it. So it's buying stock. We've got about 500 brand owners. They're not doing Prime yet, and FBA is not immediately available. The rumor was that they were going to launch this month when I'm recording this in November. That sort of has been and gone. There's a lot of rumor that it was going to try and launch on the 24th, which is Black Friday. And look, in just some past experience and looking back, sort of other marketplaces like the UK and Canada, Amazon usually takes a few years to really get going. So at the moment, there's no need to panic, but it is starting, they're obviously starting to roll. Oh, these are some of the images that I took when I was down there a couple of weeks ago. So who's actually going to win from Amazon's presence here? Well, I think it's going to be the Australian brands, anybody that makes their own stuff, private labelers and savvy wholesalers who understand the buy box. So that's a real key to succeeding. And a lot of people make a very good living as wholesalers. And if you've got exclusive distribution rights from brands, in other words, that's going to protect you from other people selling against your listings and competing with you for the buy box. Where I think people are going to get in trouble, who are going to be having to compete with other retailers for the buy box because they don't have exclusive brand agreements. Grocery retailers, if Amazon introduces Amazon Fresh, I don't think they're going to be thinking about that for a while. So probably don't worry about that for now. So first of all, how to actually apply? So you need to sort of go on a waiting list at the moment. It's not fully open yet. So just if you go to amazon.com.au, you can see on the top here, it's got the sell link. So just click that tiny little link up there, and then you'll be taken to this page where you can kind of add your name to the waiting list. I was actually added last week, and I signed up back in, I think, June, July, August, somewhere around there. I can't even remember now. It's such a long time ago. So some launch strategies here when they actually do go live. I think it's going to be a bit of a land grab, particularly for reviews and rankings as well. So it's really important. I actually did shoot another video, which is on the AustralianSeller.com about how to get reviews on your product and ask customers for reviews. So that's really important. So use Amazon's internal messaging system to message customers and ask for some feedback about their buying experience and about the product that they might have bought from you. That's one way to hopefully give you a bit of a jump start at the beginning. As soon as your product starts getting reviews on them, they're more likely to convert because people, as long as they're good products, if they're bad products, so you're going to end up with some pretty crappy reviews, and that's your problem. So your job is to try and get sales and reviews for your products as quickly as possible, and by doing that, you can rank and hopefully maintain your rankings for search terms for your products, so that you can continue to build your business and actually really start to dominate the Amazon, your little patch of Amazon. This part here is now redundant about launching products in the United States or Europe. This can be, it doesn't work in Australia. Unfortunately, Amazon is not linking products that you may have up in the United States or Europe to the Amazon marketplace here in Australia. But for example, this is one of my products that was set up. I set it up in the United States to begin with, and then I set it up in someone had actually then recreated it in Canada. So there were no customer reviews yet in the Canadian marketplace directly there, but what Amazon does is it was dragging the customer reviews across from Amazon.com, and that's also happening in Europe as well. So if you've got products on Amazon.com, you can basically kick off with, if you've got good reviews or any reviews in the United States, they're going to be dragged across into Europe against all the products that you happen to list there. And then I just wanted to quickly sort of show you just how possible it is to compete with beating like Amazon and some of the other massive brands that exist on Amazon. So one of my favorite little brands that I tend to track and watch is No Cry. I don't know who they are. I think he's the guy that runs this business is from like Estonia or somewhere. But anyway, he has private labeled some knee pads, for example. And what you can see here, this is his listing up the top here. Unfortunately, I actually don't show his actual product in this picture, but No Cry Professional Knee Pads, he'd only been going for around about, when I took this screen grab, for maybe a month or two, and he was already turning over around about $92,500 in sales per month for his $22.49 knee pads, which he was buying for around about $5 from Alibaba. He's up against ASICS, he's up against DeWalt, he's up against Nike, but he still managed to outrank them all, and in fact, Nike, Asics, and DeWalt's sales do not even add up to what he's actually been able to do in a very short period of time. So it's anything's possible as long as you know how to rank and get good feedback and have very good products. So the way that people find products on Amazon is that they search. So I talked about it before, but they also tend to default to, Manuka oil and Manuka honey New Zealand, and these are all suggested search terms as well. That it's a really good idea to try and use Amazon suggested search to make sure that you've got all the keywords in your listing so that your products can be found. The next section here I'm going to talk about is creating product promotions. In other words, ways to promote your products so that they do rank. I'm going to talk a little bit about Amazon as a search engine, which is A9, and how to rank your products. So we talked about the No Cry guys. So this is the actual product that I was showing you before. You can actually create promotions on here, and he's got a couple of promotions here, which is a sort of a buy one and get a discount on if you buy two. And buying more, if you can encourage customers to buy more than one, it actually doubles your conversion rate. It's completely different from how it normally works in e-commerce world. What this means is that if a customer buys one of your products on Amazon and 100 people have looked at your product page, then you've got a 1% conversion rate. If a customer, 100 people look at your product page and a customer buys two, that actually is a 2% conversion rate, even if it's in the same order. Normally, conversion rate is just associated with just a single order, but in this instance, if customers buy more than one, then that doubles your conversion rate, and that's pretty powerful. The other option here is you can get like a lightning deal. These cost a bit of money, and you do need to have eligible products, and it's a bit of a hit and miss here as to whether or not your products will be eligible. You just have to wait and see whether your products are eligible for lightning deals. But basically, there's a kind of a deals section or a lightning deals area. It's kind of like deal of the day, sort of a Groupon-y thing. So they're short-lived. They're about 3 or 4 hours, and you can blast through a lot of inventory very quickly. But you've got to pay Amazon around about $600, I think, every time you run one of these promotions. So you've got to do your numbers. So the really important thing here is to rank your products for search terms. So this is probably the recommended way, I'm going to go back, is to use promotions or generate coupon codes from the promotions area in your Seller Central account, which I'm not going to go into because it's quite complicated. But by generating these codes, you can put them out into the marketplace, out into your email list, and say, here's your single-use coupon code. Come and buy this product, and by doing that, what happens is it spikes your conversion rate, and that really gets Amazon's attention, and it's much more likely to rank your products for keywords that you've optimized for than if you just don't do anything. If you don't do anything, it's very unlikely that your products are ever going to be found. Amazon loves products that have high conversion rates. It loves products that are selling a lot in a very short period of time, and it also really likes it when you are able to generate sales through keywords. So if someone types in knee pad and then they find your product and buy it, that's a really good outcome. Amazon associates the keyword with the sale and therefore ranks you for that keyword. If you can do it properly, you don't have to wait very long, and you can be on page one. The other option too, of course, is that you can run Amazon sponsored ads. So you can see in this instance here, there's some more advanced advertising up here, which is from Amazon Marketing Services, which I'm not covering today. These here, though, are what are called the pay-per-click ads. And Amazon is now starting to dominate and reward anybody that wants to advertise their products, by not, the organic results, which are sort of SEO ones, are sort of now being crushed underneath the weight of, of these sponsored ads. The great thing about sponsored ads, though, is that if someone does type in Manuka honey and they click on your ad, then there's a keyword association. If they click on your ad and actually buy from you, there's a keyword association comes through the ad. So what that means is you can actually rank organically using just by using Amazon sponsored ads. So if you're bidding on the search term Manuka honey, someone clicks your product and they buy from you, Amazon will start ranking you for that search term, and that is very helpful. It can be an expensive way to rank, but it can get the job done. Let's quickly talk about Vendor Central, because this is a question I get asked a lot. So it is an invitation only. So if Amazon reaches out to you, you can decide whether you want to negotiate with them in terms of becoming an Amazon vendor. or sell to Amazon. You can also actually run a bit of a hybrid, which is probably what I'd recommend, which is that you keep some of your products that you sell yourself through your own third-party seller account, but you can also be also selling sort of in bulk to Amazon. And what they do is they basically raise, through your vendor central account, they raise purchase orders and say, we want to buy like 500 units of this thing from you. And so, if you're geared up to do that, that's great. If you don't want to, and you've got a bit of a team that can sort of help, sort of do a bit more DIY, then that can be really useful as well. And actually a bit more profitable in my view, because typically you're sort of running wholesale prices to Amazon vendor, when you're vendoring to Amazon, whereas it can be up to 50% off every single product that you sell to Amazon, whereas Amazon it charges around about 20% in total. It's usually sometimes as high as 30% total with all the FBA fees if you're shipping to Amazon and using Amazon's fulfillment service, and you get paid on every 15 days on the knocker. Whereas when you're in Vendor Central, Amazon's whenever they get around to it, they might pay you for whatever it is that they've ordered from you. Anyway, so you can have a look through the table there and kind of make up your own mind as to whether or not you want to do it. But I do recommend a hybrid, so that you've got your own FBA kind of DIY third-party account, and you might also have a Vendor Central account as well. The other thing too you can do if you are selling on Amazon Australia, or you're thinking about it, or you want to compete on a level playing field, or at least just maximize your potential for some really good sales on Amazon, is to private label. So why not private label the products that you sell? Just like everybody else, learn about Amazon's buy box system so that you can compete with other retailers. And it's not too hard to do this, but just ship your products into Amazon's FBA warehouses. Obviously in Australia, not relevant right now, but if you're going to the United States, then it's very relevant. So in summary, to wrap things up, I know it's been short and sharp, but it's a really good idea to understand what you're getting yourself into, understand how it works. These changes are coming. Amazon's marketplace is immense. I've got friends that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, I should say, in sales, and they basically just run it with their wife or their friend. So, it's a huge opportunity here, and it's not something to be frightened of once you understand the power of Amazon. So here are some resources. I showed you Jungle Scout before. That's a really useful tool. It's only about $40, I think, or maybe one-off $80 or $49 a month to get a subscription on it for the more advanced versions. I really quite like JumpSend for sending automatic customer email follow-ups, and that can help with encouraging customers to leave reviews. That won't be available in Australia straight away. Some podcast action, so you can listen to Scott Volker over at theamazingseller.com, and then we've got Private Label Movement, which is Kevin Reiser. The wholesale formula, if you're interested in learning a lot more about and getting into the weeds and detail on how to sell wholesale on Amazon, a lot of people do very well there. Bobsled Marketing is actually Kerry Masters, who's an Australian woman who's fantastic. She's got an awesome agency who can help brands that just don't want to manage this stuff, and so her agency is set up to do that. And I'm actually have just created Amazing Sales here in Australia to try and help Australian companies as well. So please feel free to reach out to me if you think you needed some help there as well. And I've just created a new podcast as well called theaustralianseller.com, which is on iTunes and now on Stitcher too. So have a listen to that, and you can have a listen to some other successful sellers who are doing really well internationally on Amazon, and you'll find out whether or not they're intending to sell on Amazon here in Australia. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. And feel free to get in